Wednesday afternoon, about 1:20, and we're going live. We're going live, and not sure what we're going to talk about, which is often the case. I've mentioned before that I sort of approach the live sessions mostly, unless there's really something specific I want to address, which is very, very rare in most cases, that it's all pretty much spontaneous. Come here and have a conversation. I sort of view these talks similar to my blog. When I write, I very seldom have any idea what I'm going to write about. It's not often that I start with a theme. It's basically showing up to an empty page and letting the words come to me, taking it from there. If words don't come to me, I'm perfectly comfortable um, sitting in silence, enjoying the silence, knowing that that is where inspiration arrives to. Inspiration isn't going to arrive to a crowded mind. If I'm so full of my own ideas, how things should unfold, what I should write about, what I have to say, then nothing original is going to come. It's all going to be a rehash of the same old thing that I say every day, which sometimes it is, honestly. However, most of the time, even when it's rehashed, it's being told in an original way, in a way that I haven't told it before, which is not to say the goal. The goal is simply to listen and then to write whatever's heard. Sometimes that's silence. So I might write about silence, or I just might sit and enjoy that quiet, enjoy the silence. However, I don't think that's going to work quite as well in a live YouTube session, where if I show up, and it might be an interesting experiment, show up, don't speak until the right words occur to me, which I sometimes do in a short manner of speaking, that there might be a pause. I don't do a pause for dramatic effects. Um, I don't do anything for a dramatic effect. A pause is simply that space that isn't holding any words, and yet it's filled with the potentiality for every word to show up. If you can get comfortable with that, then you are comfortable with how reality works. You have an innate sense of reality itself. Not everything needs to be filled, not everything needs to be rushed. Sometimes space is simply okay being space. That's the secret to meditation. Finding ourselves in the gap without questioning, because as soon as you question the gap, you're not in the gap any longer. And remember, the gap, by all rights, isn't really a gap. It's ever present. It's everything. It's the fabric of reality. And things arise within that, and we see through what we call it a gap. So between every word that I say, there is a small silent gap. Between every thought that I think, there is a slight gap. Between every word that I write, again, there's a gap, the empty page shining through. Yet the empty page remains just as it is, even when you put words on it. So it's not so much that the gap, that emptiness is in between. By all rights, it's everything. Words and thoughts, sentences appear. Remember, it's the silence that gives those thoughts and those words meaning. Otherwise, it'd just be a string of letters, or it'd be a string of sounds going on in our heads. We would speak in a buzz instead of using words and those pauses in between. Silence gives meaning to everything. So why wouldn't I be comfortable sitting in silence waiting for words to come? That's where they originate from. That's where they end up again. So I just sit, I wait. And it works here as well. Maybe a little faster. Maybe it's because I come here and I'm putting just a little pressure on myself. Otherwise, I would be staring at a camera, saying absolutely nothing. And anyone who dropped in would be thinking, what the hell is going on with this guy? Why is he blankly looking at the camera and not saying anything? So, with that preface, now I can safely stare into the camera and not say anything. You'll completely understand why. Here's the funny thing, Zen story. I'm sure everyone's heard it before, and I won't do it any justice retelling it. I'm not any great storyteller, but it's a great point. When I was talking about showing up to the page, so full of myself that I don't allow the silence to do its job. The Zen master and the teacup, when the student shows up who's been with many teachers before, and he wants to assure the Zen master that he knows all about Zen. This is told different ways. One, he's a great teacher, shows up to the Zen master and wants to tell him everything he knows about Zen. And the Zen master sits calmly, asks him if he would like a cup of tea. The teacher says yes and continues on talking and talking and talking. Everything he knows about Zen pouring out. The Zen master smiles and nods, begins to pour the teacher some tea. And he keeps pouring and keep pouring and keep pouring until the cup overflows, and the teacher throws the cup down, and shakes his hand, hot water, it's tea, remember, and demands to know, what are you doing? Why did you keep filling up my cup? And the Zen master said, because same as the cup, you're so full of yourself and your ideas of Zen that you have no room to hold anything else. Same with the empty page. If I show up so full of my ideas, not that ideas are bad, but I have to allow the potentiality of emptiness, that space, to show me how not only what words to use, what words to write, but as well how they're going to be arranged. Because when you're writing, especially when you're writing lyrical prose or poetry, the arrangement of words is just as important as the words that you're using themselves. So you want the page to, and the words to sort of arrange itself. And you're just following along. You're just watching as this spontaneous magic of writing and arranging happens. And when it happens like that, it's truly magical. I could say the same thing with burpees. When I show up in the morning to do my set, the template of how those burpees are going to be done is completely empty. I might have a plan, but who's to say my body's going to cooperate with that plan? Who's to say my mind is going to cooperate with that plan? Things might go haywire from the beginning. The wheels might come off the bus halfway through. I might give up. Doubtful, but I might. You never know. So I show up at the mat. I have a plan, and I'm perfectly willing to let that plan go to pieces and do things differently. My last Navy SEAL session, which was Monday, I was not feeling it. I did the supercharged burpee routine the day before. My legs were sore. My back's been troubling me for about a week or so now. And I was really expecting the wheels to come off the bus Monday. I thought for sure. And if they didn't, it was going to be because I backed off early and drastically, meaning instead of chasing reps, I just settle down into a comfortable pace to get my finish, to get 100 seals, walk away with my head up. I accomplished something. I got in a good workout. However, once I got started, I found that I was moving at a pretty good clip and I didn't seem involved. The reps were just coming. They were coming spontaneously. My plan, such as it was just to follow along, see what my body was going to do. At any time, if I had to, I'd back away. But I ended up getting 61 reps in 10 minutes in a 20-minute set. I decided to back off. 61, I believe, might be my best in 10 minutes. So I decided to back off a bit and chase after the fours and see how much time I had left at the end. I managed to keep pushing. Ended up with 111 reps. It's 4 less than my best. But I was pretty happy with it. I was pretty happy with one, setting that 10-minute PR and be able to finish strongly for 111. Had I stuck with an original plan, had I listened to just my thoughts telling me you're pretty tired, your back hurts, none of that would have happened. Instead, you allow the session to be spontaneous, each rep to be spontaneous, and you see what happens. In this way, things in my life have gotten pretty seamless. From my burpees to my yoga practice to meditation to my writing, it's all related. It's a yogic path, actually. It's the allowance of spontaneous potentiality of existence to show itself to me. And I just go with it. I can't do it all the time. As a matter of fact, I can't do it at all. If I do it, it's not spontaneous. If I do it, it's me forcing the issue. That never works well for anything. However, even surrender is an act of spontaneity. We can't choose to surrender. It seems like we could, but we can't. Because who would be there to surrender? What will we surrender to? When you think about it, it just, the self can't give up the self. The personality can't give up the personality. Surrender happens. However, much like Jack Kornfield said, the Buddhist teacher and writer, that meditation doesn't cause an awakening to happen. However, meditation and yoga makes you accident prone. Wanting to surrender doesn't make surrender happen. However, it makes it more prone to happen. Just giving it away consciously. And then consciousness itself takes over. Maybe it takes practice. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just happens. I think the more you practice, the more likely it is to happen. Sort of a paradox. All right, guys. Let's wrap things up with, I just hit the 14-minute mark. It's a good day's worth of talking. And I got some things to do. I'm going to do some my own meditation coming up, my last one for the day. I've done my twice yoga, my twice walking and running, and my burpees. So we're wrapping things up. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Once again, anyone who wants to learn meditation, do some breath work, or would like to discuss any theme that we cover here, just let me know. I'm always happy to talk about anything that comes up. You guys have a good day. Take care.